Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a communication tool that most of us were probably taught to avoid. You know the one, it got those red circles all over our school papers. But what if I told you it's actually a secret weapon for powerful communication? We are talking, of course, about the passive voice.
To get us started, let's think about this classic question. You know the whole rhyme, right? The entire point of the game is that we don't know who did it. The who is a complete mystery. And that little puzzle, it sets the stage for our entire explainer perfectly.
So, how do we even talk about that mystery? Well, saying someone stole the cookies feels a little awkward, doesn't it? We're forced to name a doer, even if it's just a vague someone. But look at the other option. The cookies were stolen. It's direct, it's efficient, and it puts the focus right where it belongs, on the tragic fate of the cookies.
And that right there brings us to our first section, what I'm calling the communication puzzle. The problem is really simple. Sometimes the person or thing doing the action is either unknown, unimportant, or frankly just not the point of the story you're trying to tell.
Now, to solve this puzzle, we first have to understand the normal sentence structure that we all use every day. It's called the active voice, and it follows a really simple path. You start with the subject, that's the doer. Then you have the verb, which is the action, and finally, the object, the thing that gets the action.
For example, I drank 2 cups of coffee. It's a perfectly fine sentence, right? The subject is I, the verb is drank, and the object is 2 cups of coffee. It's clear, it's active, it tells us exactly who did what. But what if the coffee is the most important part of that story? And that question leads us right to our elegant solution, meet the passive voice. This isn't some grammar error you need to run away from. Nope, it's a precision tool that solves our puzzle by letting us expertly shift the focus of a sentence.
So what is it really? Well, put simply, the passive voice is when the object, the thing that's being acted on, gets to jump to the front of the line and become the new subject. And this isn't just about shuffling words around. It's a deliberate change in focus.
Let's go back to our coffee example. The active, I drank 2 cups of coffee becomes 2 cups of coffee were drunk. See that? Boom! The focus just completely shifted. Suddenly, the drinker doesn't really matter. The coffee is the star of the show.
Okay, now for the really fun part. This isn't some random grammatical magic. There's a simple, repeatable formula for building the passive voice. And trust me, once you see it, you're going to see it everywhere.
It's just 3 easy steps like a recipe. 1. Start with the original object of the sentence. 2. Add the right form of the verb to be, like is, are, was, or were. And 3. Finish it off with the past participle of the main verb. For most verbs, that's just the ed form, like played or painted.
Let's see this recipe in action. For the present tense, the active sentence, I make a cake, becomes a cake is made. See the parts? We've got our object, a cake, the verb is from to be, and the past participle, made. Simple.
All right, let's try the past tense. I made a cake flips right over to a cake was made. The only thing that changed was our to be verb. It just became was to match the past tense. See? The formula holds up. And one more for good measure, the future. I will make a cake transforms into a cake will be made. Again, the formula is totally consistent. Object plus will be plus the past participle. And just like that, you've pretty much mastered the mechanics. Okay, so we know how to build it. That's the easy part. But the real power, the thing that makes you a communication pro, is knowing when to use it. This is where we go from grammar rules to strategy.
The first and honestly the most powerful reason is to deliberately change the focus. Think of yourself as the director of your sentence. You get to choose what the audience pays attention to.
This is such a perfect example. When we say this, who's the start of the sentence? It's the Mona Lisa, the masterpiece itself. We mentioned Leonardo da Vinci, of course, but he's in the supporting role here. The passive voice lets us structure the sentence around what's actually most important. The second reason is all about being efficient. You use the passive when the agent, that's the person doing the action, is either a total mystery, completely unimportant to the story,
or so obvious that saying it is just a waste of breath.
Just look at these examples. My bike has been stolen. We have no idea who did it. The road is being repaired. Do we really care which specific construction crew is out there? Probably not. And he was arrested. Well, duh, by the police. In all of these cases, adding the doer would just be clutter.
Now here's a real pro tip. The passive voice is an absolute cornerstone of formal and scientific writing. Why? Because it removes personal pronouns like I or we, and that creates this great sense of objectivity and authority. It focuses on the process, not the people behind it.
For instance, a sentence like, "The chemical is placed in a test tube," sounds like a proper scientific procedure. But if you said, "I placed the chemical in a test tube," it starts to sound more like a diary entry. The passive voice makes the process the hero, which is exactly what science is all about. And finally, here's a great reason that's all about style. Sometimes the active voice can create a really long, awkward subject that just makes your sentence feel clumsy and hard to read. The passive voice is your escape hatch. You can literally feel the difference here. Try reading that first one out loud. How well the students did in the test surprised me. It's a bit of a mouthful. Now try the second one. I was surprised by how well the students did in the test. It's so much smoother, more natural. It just flows.
So, let's bring this all home. If there's one thing you take away today, it should be this. The passive voice is not a mistake. It's a strategic choice. It's a sophisticated tool in your communication toolkit that you can now pull out and use with purpose.
So you have the formula and you have the playbook. The real question is, what will you choose to make clear by being passive? Now you know how to deliberately shift focus, how to sound more objective, and how to smooth out a clunky sentence. It's a powerful choice you can now make like a pro. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.